Toto has like a secret dog whistle, or I don't know, Botas whistle that we can call, that he just, whistles into.
Yeah, right.
And then Botas goes into this mind control mode where, Toto can just control him as he wants.
It's at a frequency where only Botas can hear. Like even
Exactly.
Toto. Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to F1 Fan Fiction. I keep saying welcome back because I know you guys have been listening to us episode after episode. And before we go anywhere, thank you so much for listening to us. It's the unpluggedness that we've heard from you guys that keeps bringing you back, and we'll keep the show just about a banter between two friends as it was created. This is F1 Fan Fiction. We are your hosts. I am Akash.
And I'm Sarang.
And today, for the first time, the circus, the carnival travels to Florida, Miami. It's more of a retirement home, if you ask me. Having lived there, and Sarang still is in the US, so it's more of a retirement place than a party place, as many people know it. But the carnival was in town. I think just to reinstate how much of a party this is, they had to do it around Hard Rock Cafe, because everywhere else there'd be like slow scooters driving with oldies on it. And with that, let's get into the race, man. Sarang, take us away.
Yeah, I guess this is pretty much going to be the theme of the season, I guess, which is Ferrari versus Red Bull, and that's what we saw yesterday as well. And man, I mean, it was. I wouldn't say it was a very good race. It was somewhat dull at parts, but like we had a very exciting start and again a very exciting end. So all in all, not bad. Uh, I love how like Leclerc and Max are so neck and neck. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
the standings don't show it, but at least from the perspective of the races that we have seen till now, it's been so close with them. And this race again was really awesome. I personally enjoyed their racing. What are
Right.
your thoughts?
No. This race was definitely bang on. At least for the 1-2 fight that we saw there. Overall, I agree. It was somewhat of a dry race, but
Mhm.
like that turn 14 and 15 kept things interesting. The chicane is quite
Yeah.
bouncy, trying to launch people off their cars again. For Ferrari versus Red Bull, I mean, a good thing for Ferrari was they'd locked out front rows before the race start. First time after, I think, like Mexico
Hmm.
2019.
Hmm.
And both these cars, right, like are well matched, because the Red Bulls are faster on the straights by a good 5 to 10 kmph, versus the corner speeds and the slow speeds are better on the Ferrari. So it's a good balance of competition that's coming into the sport at this point, and we did see that during the race, where at least during the start Leclerc lunged ahead, and then somewhere down the track Max was able to take that position back, and then he
Yeah.
was at it again. It
But
was just a good
But
run.
you know what? I want to interrupt you here a bit to get back to what you have mentioned a lot of times, Max being the king of starts. And
Yeah,
he had that kind of a start, right? Like this
he
time as
did.
well.
Yeah,
He just like launched into the field and just
yeah,
that first turn overtake on Sainz was just awesome. I loved
yeah,
watching
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Sainz was totally surprised. Like he positioned himself so
Mhm.
well with that shoot between
Yeah.
the two Ferraris that Sainz
Hmm.
is like, probably, where did this guy come from? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty clean and yet very awesome. Like he was, just sneaked by. Oh, hello, bye, thank you. uh,
True,
Fun to
true.
watch, and of course, like later on, the way he chased him, he kept his pace, and it's really interesting to see more matured Verstappen. Right, that's what I'm getting out of this. Like,
Yeah,
uh, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's what like a lot of people have said. It's basically just that the cars are now easier to follow, so drivers have to take lesser risks to overtake as such, because you can maintain your position without damaging your tires. And I think that is what is probably helping Verstappen a bit to keep calm, I guess, because up until the last season, pretty much, if you miss that shot, that's it. You have to then you basically the tire damage that you took on till now to just stay behind the car kind of goes to waste, and I think that
Right.
has changed here now.
Yeah, true, and we did see that, right? Like, as soon as um, Max overtook Leclerc, there was this time when Leclerc was following Max, and he was in that DRS zone,
Hmm.
but we could just see, like, because of that following advantage had gone away,
Hmm.
Leclerc was never able to catch up with Max.
Uh-huh.
He was like gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Though overall, I think this whole season is basically just going to be these two lads battling it out.
You know what? I'm gonna play. I don't know. Like, I am not this Mercedes fan, but we did see a glimpse of,
Mhm.
Mercedes trying to poke itself into the competition. Like,
Yeah,
if you remember, like race one, they are out in Q3. They're not even in like
yeah.
Q1s and Q2s competing. But this race, like, they locked up themselves at P4 and 5 or 5 and 6, and they're trying to get in there. So I think like towards the end of the season, we're still gonna see some Mercedes battle, but yeah, you're right. So far, it's gonna be all about Ferrari versus Red Bull.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Well, what's happening with the second drivers here, though? I think
oh
like
man,
uh, Science for a change completed a race. I think you'd kind of
right,
forgotten about it.
right. And that's the interesting part too, because if you see, um, during the qualification, he was a tad bit faster than Leclerc. He knew he was
Yeah,
pushing hard, but then he just gave up on it. He was like, "I don't want to run into the wall again, and I don't want to cause any spin damage or stuff." And I was like, "Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just finish P2. I'm fine with that."
Hmm.
I don't know, nervousness settling in, whatever, but I'm glad that he at least finished this race. He's on the podium. He's got a different look to himself, too, like with those long hair. It feels
Hmm.
weird seeing him without the helmet. Yeah, but all in all, I'm glad he's driving good and he's bouncing back.
Yeah. And I think it's quite interesting to see that both the second drivers are, like very up and close with the first drivers in the teams, in the sense that like Perez has become quite comfortable. He's driving pretty well. Same with Sainz. They are pretty, I think, equally matched up as
Yeah,
such in terms of both like comfort in the car and as well as the pace and the mistakes. Probably Perez, not any mistakes actually. He hasn't done any of those till now, right? Surprisingly,
no,
but I
that's
think,
true.
but I think Sainz obviously has the potential. I think he was just a bit not too comfortable with the car yet, but I'm sure he's going to perform well, and they both are going to be neck and neck. What's the points standings between them? Let me see. Uh,
Maybe a point here or two.
66. Perez is at 66 and Sainz at 53. That's quite interesting. And that's, of course, because Sainz did not complete two races.
Yeah.
But Perez also didn't complete one. So, yeah,
But it's
there
still
it
it's still
is.
neck and neck. I'd call like Russell
Hmm.
sitting between them at P4 at 59, but I'd still call it neck
Yeah.
and neck because until and unless like the Mercs figure themselves out, it's gonna be these two fighting out.
Yep.
Although I did expect like a better result from Perez. I think he was having some sensor issue yesterday, so he was on the radio saying he's got no power, he's got no
Hmm.
power.
Hmm.
But and the engineer said like there is power. What are you saying? I don't see anything. But the
Yeah.
most free man on the grid, Christian Horner, was on radio later saying that there's some sort of like sensor issue, but the car's performing great. But Perez is 26.8 British horsepower, as Brundle kept calling it, uh, under
Really?
science. Yeah.
Did
That's
he
what he
say
said.
that?
He said. So yesterday commentary was on point because like. Who was with Brundle? I forget, but like he was saying horsepower, and then
Uh-huh.
Brundle used to correct him like British horsepower. Yes,
Uh, oh man, that's one thing I miss though, right? About F1 TV. They have switched the commentary now, so I don't get Brundle anymore.
Oh
It's basically,
man.
yeah. I I used to hate the red button shit that they used to do, but somehow they had a charm. They had a good way of conducting things, and yeah, I kind of miss that. But yeah, well, what about the next team? McLaren, I guess.
Is that where we want to go next? Let's see. They were all over the place. Is what I would call McLaren yesterday, because they were doing good for once, but then they were more of the back end markers yesterday.
Mm.
Um, they were trying to get that pit advantage where they don't pit and then take themselves all the way to a one stop pit strategy,
Mhm.
and then at least try to be somewhere in that contention of points position. But overall, with Lando and Lando's accident and
That was
Ricardo,
unfortunate, man.
yeah, it was a shit show. They were all over the place yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know, man, what's going on with McLaren. I think they are improving somewhat. Like, definitely they have. Like, in the first race, we saw they were dead last, and like they are doing pretty well now. With especially with Lando's podium last race, of course. McLaren are doing good, but I'm very confused. Like, I don't understand. Like, uh, is it the engine? Is it the aero? What is causing this? It doesn't
I
make
was gonna
sense to
say,
me.
like, everyone's still trying to figure their cars out while Red Bull and Ferrari just have figured it better.
Yeah, right.
But yesterday, at least from Ricardo, right, like there were some brilliant overtakes. Like that's even Brundle at some point was like, "That's the old Aussie we know." That was true.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was an amazing corner cut on Tsunoda, which you saw like the old Ricardo come back with like that late braking and then turning in.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So there was some great driving from Ricciardo, but at the same point, I feel like Lando was so struggling with the whole car. The turn 18 hairpin, man, like at one point it felt like he was gonna probably retire his car because he was so wide. Um, but yeah, just too many overtakes on him. I think like lap 19, 20, 21, same spot, turn 18 hairpin. They just kept
But
kept
but
getting
I'm
on.
I'm glad that he crashed because he made the race a bit interesting, right?
True, he was
At
he
a
was the Latifi for yesterday.
exactly. Yep. Yep. For a change, like I was actually so I was watching this race at a bar with a couple of my friends, and like while watching the race, it had gotten a bit dull, and then we are like, we're placing bets on is Latifi going to crash, or rather, what
Right,
lap is Latifi going to crash?
right.
And then there goes Lando, and we're like, oh man, something changed here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that crash too was very weird because it felt
Hmm.
like Gasly was gonna retire the car, and that's what even Lando said in the post race interview, where he
Hmm.
was like, if it felt like Gasly was gonna retire the car, if he was, then then it was completely his fault to sort of just come into me, and then if he
Yeah.
wasn't, then I don't know how he got there. So it was something along those lines where it was like Gasly's fault all the way. But yesterday commentary was just too much on point, man. It was so much fun listening to them because he was like, "Oh, the tires come off like a polo mint." I was like, "Yeah, that's actually true." The way that rear right popped
That's how
off,
it came up. Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
actually true.
agree. Oh man, that's a nice one. See, this is what I miss, man. I'm kind of missing these guys now. I don't mind the red button much.
Yeah, that's something that they're still blabbering about. But yeah, yesterday's commentary was bang on point.
Yeah.
Something interesting that I think I noticed yesterday was, and this is again like coming off of because of the commentary is what I learned is the track was driven in an anti-clockwise pattern, which sort of gives you more right-handers
Mm-hmm.
than the left-handers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we saw like more right tire degradation than the left, and
Interesting.
somehow this sort of um, I don't know how or if it's even true, but sort of we saw a few right tire mess ups during pit stops. We saw one
Hmm.
for Sainz versus Perez, where Sainz had like a
Yeah.
5.4 versus Perez had a 3.1, which still is
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than what Red Bull ends up getting. Alonso had like a 5.7.
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point even Ricardo had like a issue with his rear right or something. So overall, it was a
Interesting.
weird pit stop where multiple people got their tires messed up. Um, Everyone, rather than trying to manage their lefts, were on alert to sort of manage their rights at this point. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was an interesting race overall too.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I didn't actually consider the fact what you just mentioned about okay. I mean how it affects whether you're running on the track clockwise or anti-clockwise. That's true.
Right?
Well, now that we're talking a bit technical, let's go to the other spectrum of it. And let's visit some memes. Just let's keep our heads aside and enjoy some good fresh hot memes.
So as you're gonna be sharing some screen,
Yes, that's right.
folks for folks on YouTube, this is where you have an advantage over anyone listening in audio because you get to see this. Um, yeah. So
Oh
where are
yeah.
we? We are at meme section. Again, that's the best Japanese version, manga, whatever you want to call it, of meme section that I can do.
Right. Here it goes nothing.
All right. Yes,
All
memes.
right. It's the first one. Okay, so the first one basically is there's a panel with Spider-Man shooting web, and then the second photo is the podium where everybody is like, I don't know what that was, the streamer thingies that they were like
Yeah.
spraying out on those
Yeah,
guys, but
yeah,
what the fuck was going on?
yeah. At least this is like the SFW version of the meme. I mean, my immediate thought even goes to like an NSFW version of the whole thing.
Yeah, right. I can see that. I
I'll
don't
just leave
want
it
to, but I can.
I'll just leave it there. A different version of Spider-Man.
Oh man, all right.
What
let's
do we have
let's take a
next?
look at the next one. This has to be the
Oh,
favorite
this.
meme of the weekend for me. So it's basically the one which it says no one, and then the other subtext is the two drivers with the most WDCs on the grid, and
Yeah,
then there are two photos. One is of a Superman, and the other is of Xerxes from 300. The
they all
context
look the
being
same.
I don't know if you know about this, Akash. Do you know why Vettel was wearing his underwear outside?
That one I don't know. Lewis was just being Lewis with all the jazz and the bling that he comes on with. But what was Vettel's story for wearing
So
Superman
it's
cape?
it's it's basically related to safety. Like FIA is clamping down on a few rules, and I completely side with FIA over here
Uh huh.
for both these things actually. So basically, they say that the driver shouldn't be wearing any garment which might stick to their skin in case of a fire, and basically they are asking all drivers to wear like fireproof clothing even for the innerwear. So a lot of drivers are protesting because it's not very comfortable, and
Yeah.
thus you see Vettel wearing his Puma underwear on the outside.
Well,
And the
you know
same thing
what?
goes for Hamilton as well. The same thing, like
Right.
FI is trying to like clamp down on any jewelry while driving, and they're saying that basically it can burn into your skin, and not just that, it can fly as a debris. And when it's going at 300 kilometers per hour, it's basically a bullet. So
Yeah.
you need to cut that shit out.
Well, you know what? At least I agree with FIA here because they know that with these concrete barriers, a crash so imminent as everyone was shocked with like the whole Grosjean fire thing is gonna
Uh-huh.
come. So might as
Uh-huh.
well like have these guys not wear all of this because who knows who out of the 20 is gonna run into a death defying crash again. Man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right,
Anyhow.
let's go to the next
But
one.
hang on. Go back to the previous one. I just read this somewhere and I don't know if it's true. But did someone ask Lewis that, hey, do you have, how many piercings do you have? And then he
Uh-huh.
said, like, I have a couple, some that I can't reveal where they are. And everyone's been guessing where they are. I don't know if you heard about this thing.
This is news to me, but this is quite interesting.
Go look it up. Go look it up, like after you've stopped sharing the screen and, like, or if you have a
Sure,
second screen at your end. But like,
sure.
I think I read it on I read it on Reddit and I was like, I don't know if this is to be believed or is someone just pulling his legs with like all the weird piercings this guy's got.
I think it also could be Lewis just trolling the media as well.
Who knows? Someone predicted he's probably got one ring on his dick or something. But anyways, what's the next one?
All right. Leave a comment about where do you think his piercing is.
Oh man.
Okay, anyways. The next one, it has to be this. Trying to figure out whether Albon is driving the car or Williams is a midfield car and Latifi is shit.
That's true. That's actually true. Now that he's got his painted hair theory, he's been. I think like that's the only way he knows how to drive. Like either start
Yeah.
18, 19, or 20 and then
Uh-huh.
end up in points. Like that's the only way he knows how to drive.
Yeah, and I think Williams is going to just dip him in red paint because if they think that red hair brings 1 point, so all
Yeah.
his body hair being red might give them more points. All right,
What do we have?
let's go to the next one.
Top 10 anime betrayals. Oh my god.
It's basically a photo of Shumi hitting Vettel and with the subtext of top 10 anime betrayals.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Oh
Like
man.
there's definitely some mentoring, parental relationship damage happening here. I know. I mean, they laughed it off after that, but
It's quite easy for Vettel to like slip in a few bad advices, right? Like after this,
yeah,
just
I mean, that's
just to
true.
take revenge.
That's true.
You cost me a point.
Yeah.
I think it's the last one, which completely captures the Miami GP in one photo. So it's basically two
This
things
is your brain. Okay.
with a normal GP, and then this
This
is your
is your
brain on
brain.
drugs, where you have like a collage of Vettel in his underwear. I don't know what is he doing, and then the Sky Sports commentator trying to swim
Dude,
on
what the fuck
the.
is with these McLaren tank top thingies? What are they trying to do there?
Then there was a police escort. What the hell was going on with the police escort? You know what? I have a theory here. I know why. I think Hamilton could have won the race, but he purposefully didn't because he was afraid what might happen to him with the escort.
Ouch. Ouch. Sure. Black Lives Matter. Sure. Oh my
He was
god.
like, "This is America, so he has to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a bit careful."
Who knows? Someone could be choking down his throat while he shouts. Yeah. No, man, I think like nobody told these cops that this is a racing track and these speeds are allowed. They probably came there for a ticket. We see a few cars driving over speed limit. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, this I mean, I don't know. I think I think we should talk about the Miami GP in general right after this,
Sure.
and I think this is a very good segue for it. So I think let's go there.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
What are your thoughts, Akash, about uh the whole thing? I don't know. I can't even like put words to it. Just go
As
ahead.
fans, we sort of make the statement that every weekend the carnival travels, every weekend the circus is in Newtown. This weekend, it felt like they were a circus and a carnival, with all the jazz that
Rightly
they
put.
came in with, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the weekend felt to me.
Yeah, man. It's like, I have very mixed feelings about it. Like, on one hand, I'm kind of happy that the sport is getting popular in the US. It's a big market, and like, if we if it becomes popular here, we with that comes more like original programming related to F1 and everything, and we'll
Yeah.
see more great programming about F1. But at the same time, it seems like they are really trying to get into the whole influencer uh culture as such in US, at least, which I mean, I don't want to gatekeep. I'm happy if people, even new fans are discovering it, and they're liking the sport. It's great. But at the same time, it feels weird with the whole, like, the fake boat thing, the fake beach, and everything that they did. I mean, okay, they wanted to sell tickets, but it kind of cheapens the sport somewhat, right? Like, it felt very gimmicky. uh the celebs and everything, and what we saw with Martin Brundle's grid walk as well, it was completely
At least
hilarious.
he,
Like,
at least he didn't get shoved away this time.
yeah,
That's the
half the
good
people
part.
were not interested to talking to him. There's this interview with Venus Williams, I think, where he Martin is trying to get her attention. He asks her, like, "Are you here to support Hamilton?" And then I think DJ Khalid comes there, so she starts talking to him and like ignoring Martin. Then then she like looks at Martin again, and then she sees the mic, and he's like, "Oh, he's still here. Okay, I have to answer this." And then she starts talking, and then she just says, "Yeah, I'm here to support Lewis and the other drivers too, blah blah blah."
I
uh,
think that was on purpose. Let me interject there. I think
yeah.
that was on purpose because last year Serena was on Monaco and she was
Ah.
asked to give tips to Max about driving. So she would have probably told Venus, "Hey, stay away from these guys because these guys know jack shit and they ask you to give driving tips to drivers when we are tennis players." So
That makes sense. That makes sense. And right after that, he started talking to DJ Khalid, who seemed like an NPC, because like he was just talking random shit, man. It's so bizarre. He was saying like, "This is Miami, this is my home," and
yeah, he's
I don't
retired,
know. It was
sure.
just it, I was so like I was so confused watching as to what is going on here. Exactly.
Right, right.
But regardless, the track is pretty good though. I
I
mean,
like it,
I
yes.
personally like the track.
Yeah, I know the internet's tone over it, and even on our
Hmm.
track sort of explanation video, we got like different opinions. But
Hmm.
I'm with you on that. I like the track. It's got a good straight. It's got the good chicane.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is the concrete barriers. I
Yeah.
know we're gonna talk about it
Hmm.
in a separate video, not part of this recording. But beyond that, yeah, I'm with you. I like the track.
Yeah, right. It's like a mix between a lot of tracks, I think. Like, you've got the kind of bendy straights that we saw in Saudi, and then you have got those the chicane, which is very technical to drive as such. It's
The 14
not
and
really
15.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the hairpin at turn 17, which is a pretty
Yeah.
interesting like overtaking point, and I like it. 3 DRS zones, and yeah, pretty good track. And I think a lot of drivers themselves also liked it. So overall, I think it's a good thing. Miami GP. I just hope that they somehow contain the fakeness of things that they try to introduce overall.
Yeah. Even for the race directors, right? Like it was, they
Mhm.
kept cutting to shots with those two
Yeah.
pools in Hard Rock Cafe and kept showing people in those pools. And I'm like,
Mhm.
they don't care about the race. They are in the pool enjoying. I don't care about them.
Exactly.
Why am I seeing four fat dudes in swimming costumes
That
sipping on
made
a
no
drink?
sense. Yes. I mean, I still understand they're showing fans who are actually in the grandstands and watching the race because they're at least like interested in the race.
even for them, so there were these moments where either Hamilton's overtaking or being
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
overtaken or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll cut to some fan cheering and the commentators are like, yeah, even he's excited, so back to the race now. Like exactly. So it was weird. But talking about Hamilton, I don't know why I mentioned him, but like talking about Hamilton, I want to spend some time talking about Mercedes yesterday because it did feel like our theory from last time is sort of holding true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, we did see Hamilton struggle during Q1,
Mm-hmm.
where he was probably going to get out. Russell during Q2, where he was again probably going to get out. But all in all, Mercedes did have a good weekend compared to the previous weekends that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on Mercedes overall?
I think they are slowly climbing up the ladder. Like, I
Yeah,
think they had also mentioned this before the race that they are going to bring in an upgrade this time,
right.
which would kind of break or make their season. And I think they are on the right trajectory because at least this time, what we saw, they ended up where 4 and 5, right? Which
Yeah,
is the third best on the field, which is pretty awesome for where they started. So I think
yeah,
our theory does hold up, kind of like they have been experimenting with a lot of different things. I think uh, even we had seen this somewhere, right? Like they were using these light sensors
yeah.
to try and understand the porpoising effect and overall like the performance of the car. And like they were okay with the added weight because they were so desperate for it to try
Yeah.
and improve things. So yeah, for sure, I think Merc might end up the third fastest team by the end of the season. Yeah.
True. Yeah, I could buy into that. And I think like I forget who mentioned about this too, but you're right because what ended up technically this particular race was Merck was eating into Ferrari's
Hmm.
slow corner speed.
Hmm.
So they have started to come into that competition again. I think like all they need to do now is figure out how to balance that porpoising pace eating issue that they have.
Right.
So yeah.
So one thing I wanted to point out with the Mercedes race is that the third driver at Mercedes, who basically just stepped out of the way to let the first two drivers go by, who's Bottas.
Oh, I
I
know what
believe
you're talking about.
I have this theory that Toto has like a secret dog whistle, or I don't know, Botas whistle that we can call, that he just, whistles into.
Yeah, right.
And then Botas goes into this mind control mode where, Toto can just control him as he wants.
It's at a frequency where only Botas can hear. Like even
Exactly.
Toto doesn't know. He's just whistling. That's it. But I know what you're saying about like talking about it. Like there was this point where there was a Botas, I want to say like a Botas Hamilton Russell, but could be
Hmm.
Botas Russell
Hmm.
Hamilton train.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then those two guys were fighting off. Turn 18 hairpin. Botas just moves away. It genuinely felt like there were probably some team orders only for Bottas to realize, oh shoot, I'm not part of this team anymore.
Yeah, I think he just like messed himself up. Like I think he had locked up. I think that's what the issue
Yeah,
was. But still, the way like the cut to the camera, right? It felt that way. Like he just
a
moved
very
aside and
drama-y way to show how he moved away. Yeah.
yeah. But it was a lot of
But
fun.
you know what? Sort of kudos
Mhm.
to him. He started
Mhm.
above Hamilton,
Yeah.
and there were some good memes coming out of that
Yep. Yep.
situation
Yep.
as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well. Look how the tables have turned, sort of situation.
Yeah. And honestly, if not for that mistake, he could have probably ended up fourth as well. Like sorry, fifth
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it didn't feel like he was getting into too much pressure from those Mercedes at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
He could
Yeah.
have salvaged his position.
Hmm.
Well, I think like while you say that, there's two drivers, Bottas and Perez, that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like consistently sort of struggle getting their position back. Because
Yeah.
I, for one, sort of felt like he's gonna make that dive on Science at
Mm.
some point and get that position back, but that never happened. And Bottas also like started falling
Well,
back,
Perez
and he never
did
came.
dive once, but wasn't
Yeah, but that
successful
was
though.
it, right? Like
Yeah,
then he never
exactly.
came back.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. Yep. Yeah, you're I think somewhere right. Like I think we saw the same thing with Perez in what race was it? Was
I
it
think last
Saudi where
last
he was
race.
leading?
Yeah,
What
one
was
of
the
the
race
two.
when where he like basically got fucked at the pit stop and then later he just couldn't overtake
Yeah,
signs at all,
couldn't
like
never
no
come
matter
back.
what.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, like we see that often happening. I don't know why though. Like it's clear that the Red Bull is fast, like Max is definitely showing that. And yeah, anyways, I think there's something here. I think
Yeah.
it's probably related to their driving styles or something like that. But yeah, same thing with Bottas, he couldn't get
He
back the
couldn't come
position.
back, right? Yeah.
But still kudos to him, man. He's doing a brilliant job at
Yeah.
Alpha. I mean, who would have thunk? Like I had honestly expected. Go
there
ahead.
is there is an interesting meme about this too. So
Mhm.
because you say who would have thunk this thing where Bottas leaves Williams gets fucked. Bottas leaves where did he go? Bottas leaves Mercedes gets
Oh
fucked.
yes.
Now he's at Alfa Romeo, so like whenever he leaves there, that's gonna get fucked.
Interesting. I think we are onto something.
Yeah, we're onto something here.
what was
But
what
what
was
else
the
is happening?
shenanigans between Russell and Hamilton, man? I heard about this, but I didn't
Yeah.
actually see it. Like, uh,
I was just gonna
do you
ask
know?
you about that because, like, at times it felt like there were team orders coming into play where they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have Hamilton ahead of Russell, but then I feel like Russell was pure on pace yesterday. Like, I think
Hmm.
um, there were some clean passes from him to overtake Hamilton. There were some good lunges into Hamilton for an overtake.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it just felt like while they're still figuring that car out, and even if they had like the same cars yesterday, Russell was more of an element zone for himself than Hamilton.
You know what I enjoyed the most about yesterday's race? Hamilton's radio about complaining about the strategy.
Did he say like
Right.
my tires are short? I don't know. I don't. What did he say?
I don't recall what exactly he said, but
Uh huh.
basically, the essence was that you did me dirty with the strategy, because, uh,
Was
because
he
well,
was he in like the P5 positions by that time? Okay, so
yep,
that's when his mind starts tuning into complain mode. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
exactly. I truly enjoyed watching that.
The old Hamilton was back. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But there was some good replays that showed Russell passing Hamilton
Mhm.
off track. It was sort of like good switcheroos happening essentially. Uh, but yeah, overall some good battling. They also did not, at least not on the radio, but they didn't show them not fighting. Like Toto allowed them to battle it
Mhm.
out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is what it looked like. I don't know behind the scenes if things were going on, but at least
Mhm.
on the front it was that.
Yeah. I think Mercedes would let them fight for now because I think it makes sense. The, I mean, they're nowhere near in the running for the championship anyways,
Yeah,
so doesn't make sense to use team orders much right now. I mean, and they are keeping it clean. They are not like pushing each other off the track or doing
yeah,
anything
yeah,
nasty to
yeah.
each other. So I think it
I mean, they
makes
pushed
sense to let
Botas
the
off the track, but it's fine.
Bota just moved off the track on his own, man. Yeah, but well, pushing. Since you're talking about pushing, what the hell was Mick doing, man?
Yeah, I think like he's getting mixed advice from his
Yeah.
godfather and father. I don't know about the father part, but like what I mean to say is Vettel's gonna reevaluate how he wants to sort of godparent make at this point because
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a good lunge that Mick was trying to do, but Vettel turning in on him. I still have to probably see it from like a helicopter cam
Hmm.
version of who turned more, or was there an underbraking sort of scenario. But from Mick's point of view, it did initially look like there was some gap that he could have taken into that turn, but at the same time, it felt like Mick underbraked, and went a bit more wider than he
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, a little too eager from Mick's side. Like, that corner doesn't have a lot of space
It
overall,
does
and there were
not.
three cars
Yeah.
there. I think there was Alonso as well there, and there just wasn't enough room. I think it. Uh, I don't know. Mick should had like kept, been patient probably. I don't know, and
Yeah,
especially
that's the
especially
difference,
since he
right?
was fighting for his first points, right?
Exactly,
So that was there
exactly.
too.
That's the difference, right? Like, I think like the excitement of the whole weekend got better of him because he
Mm,
started the race off too on a good note, where he
yeah,
for the first time in his career sort of, I mean, this season, to be honest, not
yeah. Last season
Mazepin
he has
doesn't
a
count.
he has a
So
lot of practice out qualifying his teammate last season.
right, so this season for the first time he outqualified
Yeah,
K-Mag.
yeah,
K-Mag,
yeah.
who's been having like a
Mm-hmm.
stellar of a season this year.
Mm-hmm.
Better than his entire Haas career, to be honest. But but I think like that, and that combined with the excitement of him truly getting that first career point,
Mm-hmm.
combined with like Vettel being in front of him, getting that chance
Yeah.
to sort of show his mentor how he's evolved. I don't know. So much happening in just like 2 meter of a distance. Sure,
I
you
think
learn
that also
from these
played a
things.
picture, like that also played a part in the picture that, since it was Vettel, he probably kind of wanted to show off to his mentor,
Yeah,
kind of like, look, ma, no hands, kind of a thing.
true. That's true. That's true. Uh, but I guess like that's where you learn from these
Mhm.
these things, right? And because this happened again, the first time it happened was like when Alonso nicked Gasly off
Mhm.
into that turn one, and then Alonso was prompt on the radio saying, "Hey, I think he closed the door on me at the last minute." And then Brundle, again being Brundle, brilliant last night, was also known as turning into the corner. and
I
and
think
that
Alonso
is,
got a penalty as well, right? For that, I think
yeah,
a
yeah, at
five
the
second
end of it,
penalty.
5 second
Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah.
And as soon as Mick ran into Vettel, he didn't even have to, Brendel didn't even have to say it, and it played in my head. That's called turning into the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It could had been like it's kind of could had beens for both. Like Vettel
Yeah,
has missed a lot of, like, he has missed two races, three races, I forget now. But he has some catching up to do. Uh this was an awesome opportunity for Mick to gain his first points,
yeah,
and well, he squandered it as such. So better luck
true,
next time, I guess.
true, true. Um, but overall, I mean, there were some other things happening during the race as well, right? Like, first things first, right to the start of it, uh, Zhao, or as famously known as Joe, had to retire. I don't know why he retired his car though.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I think there was some issue with his engine or something like that, but yeah, I'm also not very clear on what that
Yeah,
was.
because they never even talked about it. It was just
Mm,
an unfortunate incident where, yeah, they had to
yeah.
retire his car. Um, the other interesting bit was where Leclerc does a fastest lap, and then he comes into the radio and says, "It's so difficult to drive the car." And as soon as he says that, Brundle, again, like a brilliant Brundle yesterday that he's like, "What's so difficult? You've just done a fastest lap."
Was it like Charles hinting at how he is kind of going to turn into Hamilton 2.0?
I think it comes with the position. Like we saw Max starting to complain. We're
Mhm.
seeing Leclerc. I think it's the nerves that get to you when you're in that
Yeah.
in that position,
Yeah,
because
because I think
it's
soon
like,
we'll also start seeing like my tires are gone and then fastest lap and then
yeah, yeah,
it's
we
so
might
difficult to
very,
drive and then fastest lap.
yeah, I think it's like Podium 101 that everyone gets through as a coaching lesson that,
Yeah.
okay, how do you complain? That's where you start. We saw some good DRS trains forming again as part of the 2022 theme. Yesterday, I think yesterday's one that I did capture as a screenshot was K-Mag, Schumacher, Vettel, and Norris right before Norris died out. Um, but yeah, overall, good race. Do we have stats on who gained the maximum position, lost maximum max overtakes? I think let's share that with the audience. Because I know, like at one point, lap 37, Ocon was up by 12 positions. Sonoda down by 9. Um, Gasly, we know, who's been doing stellar, has overall had a good race um, yesterday. While you do look that up, I want to bitch about these commentators while I've gloated them as much as I have. These dudes, man, every time a driver or their engineer comes onto the radio, these guys talk over him and then they come back and explain what was said on the
Oh
radio.
man,
I'm
yes.
like, dude, just shut up for 2 seconds. Let the radio say what it is and then come back to your commentary. But
Yeah, man,
anyway,
I've seen that as well a lot of times. But okay, let's get to the stats that we were talking about. Uh, you were right, Ocon. I think Ocon is the winner who gained 10 positions. Of course, like that. I mean, it affects that a few people DNF'd.
yeah.
So of course that kind of plays into the picture. But yeah, I think he 10 positions, pretty awesome, man. Where did he start? He didn't have a very good qualifying, right? I think Alpine were having a very weird day. They started like right behind, and yeah, I don't know. Anyways, and I think the most positions lost has to be a tie here between Mick uh, and
Ah,
Bottas because they both lost 2 positions. So
well.
yeah.
Yeah, overall a good weekend. I got as many complaints I had. I think like I vented them all out. Um, yeah, the circus now travels to the traditional Barcelona, Catalonia
Ooh, yeah.
track. So
Mhm.
there's some changes to this track where the last corner is no longer the speed killer. So
Oh,
this year's
really?
going to
Did
be,
they
yeah,
change
yeah.
it?
I think they changed
That's
it.
news to
So
me.
yeah, I think they changed it. So even if they didn't, we'll check it the next time
Uh-huh.
we come back. Um, yeah, until the next episode, write into us, man. If you're still listening to us, if you're still here, you are the true champion fan. Uh, you know what? If you're still listening, we'll give you a t-shirt away. Write into us at contact us at the rate f1fanfiction.com, and we've got a F1 fanfiction t-shirt for you. So if you're here, if
The
you write
first
in,
person
the
who
first
writes
person
in.
to get that t-shirt, it's not out as merch store. It's something that just we wear. So yeah,
Yeah.
you get one. Until then, these are your hosts signing off.
Bye bye.